Oh my god, Jamal Hill might be the fattest heavyweight I've ever seen. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of MMA Productions. Today we're going to be going over my breakdowns and predictions of UFC Fight Night Baku. I'm just going to put my face cam a little bit. I can't move my face cam. And yeah, I got to get a webcam. But this weekend, Fight Night Baku, main event Torres versus Fiziev is happening. Um, I didn't log into my notes on my phone real quick, so I got to get those pulled up. I actually just got a text message. Um, Piss me off, Drive. Professionalism. All right. Honestly, pretty banger event this weekend. I don't like these foreign cards because, you look at like the UFC Canada, UFC Australia cards. They end up just having a bunch of randoms that you never end up seeing again. Like you'll see these guys that are like from the local scene, 7-3, and they're just kind of not good. And we have to see them, and they're boring and they're weird. They got weird styles. It's like how the hell did you end up here? Um, but there's some cool names on here, even the ones that like you haven't made it to the UFC yet, because it's Eastern Europe. There's a lot of good guys out there, tough fighters. Um, Yeah, my God, the names on this card were difficult to pronounce and type. Holy crap! I'm gonna butcher every name on this card probably. Except the Americans and the Brazilians. It's about to be a tragedy. But anyway, starting off as you can see on the screen, we got Tahir Abdullayev versus Jefferson Nascimento. Um, I said last week I was going to try to start watching more footage. Lo and behold, I get to this week. The only footage I can find of Tahir not losing fights in LFA, I'm pretty sure, or no, UAE Warriors or whatever, was this like little, this big on the screen, 1080, not even 1080, like 144p. If it's not that, they're speaking some Cyrillic language that I don't know because it's happening in like Georgia or something. So that sucked, and it was not fun to find and watch footage of these guys. Yeah, but both these guys are debuting. I believe Tahir is fighting up. I could be wrong on that. Um, Going over to here, he got outstruck by a guy named Alim John, pretty bad with kicks, and ate an overhand and a head kick. He ate him pretty well, but difference in power once you get to the UFC. We'll have to see where that goes. You saw a takedown defense in that fight too, from what I saw. Led to a good reversal. Got an easy transition to a Von Flute. That was pretty impressive. He did it like that. It looked like he didn't even have to try for it. Um, Solid grappler. In his fights, I don't know if I'm tweaking. He looks like a fun-sized Shamil Gaziev. It's kind of weird. But, yeah. He overextends with overhands. Like, I was seeing him, he'd go like, ugh! And he'd be like way in the pocket with the person. I think it's gonna get him beat one day. Even if he wins this fight, makes it into the UFC. Like further on, I'm a little bit worried that'll get him killed. Basically, um, solid at throwing up submissions when he's on his back and like defend takedowns. He can throw up some gillies and stuff pretty easily. Man, my hair's a mess. Uh, he was getting out grappled in his win over a guy called Alisov. He's a cage grab demon. Oh my god, every fight I was seeing, he was cage grabbing, or just at least a bunch of cage grabs and fights. He just looks sloppy. That's my thing with these. That's what happens a lot of times with fighters, and it's the UFC and MMA in general just gets sloppy because of how it is, like the style of it. It's not their fault a lot of times, but this guy just looks really sloppy. Especially comparing him to his opponent on the other side, Jefferson Nascimento. Solid striker. He had a body kick finish in his most recent win. Nasty kick. Um, Solid in the clinch. Really solid. He can throw people. Good at throwing knees and elbows and stuff. Uh, he's really good when his opponents had got their back against the cage. Nasty phone booth exchanges. Uh, his age is like it didn't have his age on Tapology. That's a new one. I get it when they don't have the reach because like it's some random third world country. They don't measure the guy's reach for some reason, or it doesn't get to Tapology. But like with Nascimento, how do we not know the guy's age? Like I know supposedly Jose Aldo's supposedly a lot older than we think, and I've heard that sometimes they just don't have birth certificates in the favelas. I don't want that might be a classist, I guess, nationalist view. I don't know what that would be, but yeah, I think I'm gonna take Nascimento in this fight, as you can see on screen. I think he's just gonna win a decision. He's gonna just outdo him. I think he's gonna outwork him striking. He got dropped and is fighting up, and I could be wrong. I don't care. Both these guys are debuting. It's hard to find footage with these guys that they don't have UFC fights. It's like how am I supposed to know who wins? It's like these because not the amateurs. Somebody on the later in the card took a fat L to an amateur later. We'll go over that. Um, I don't know. Like with the non UFC, it's just really hard to tell with a lot of these guys. It's just because it's a completely different sport. It's different kind of athletes, different kind of skill level. It's a whole different world. But yeah, I'm gonna take Nascimento probably by a decision. I think he's just gonna outwork him. His grappling is definitely good enough to survive. He leaves openings, but I don't know if Tahir really has the power to take advantage of those openings like that. But yeah, getting into our next fight. This one's actually kind of a banger. We got Beksat. I didn't put the man. I did. We got Beksat Almakan versus Gene Matsumoto. Matsumoto, solid striker, solid grappler. Split decision loss to Rob Font. Ugh, yucky, gross. Like really, Rob Font? He's not a bad boxer, but geez, man. Basharat loss wasn't bad. Split decision loss. Basharat's not a bad fighter. He's gonna get whooped by Ethan Ewing in a few weeks. So that's a yikes. I don't know. It's not a bad loss though. Kind of struggles with volume, guys. He starts off slow, which is what I think is gonna lose him this fight. He's really aggressive, solid submission game. He takes a lot more hits. I think it's like takes 2 for every 1 he hits with significance. And 3 split decisions in a row, man. That's like some Movsar Evloev type shit. It's just stand out, man. Try to stand out. Do something, please. Cutting to Almakan. Good counters. Really big power for a bantamweight. He's good at getting in and out of range. He dropped the hell out of Umar, man. He kind of sold the finish, but Umar has good recovery. We saw that with the knee he took from Mario Bautista. He dropped the hell out of Umar. He almost ended that undefeated streak early. Kind of got outstruck by Alexandre Topuria. And in the Umar fight, Umar controlled the hell out of him. He had him bad. Like, he was out wrestling him completely, controlling his back. But he got up a few times, and he defended a couple takedowns. Even reversed the position around 2 against Umar. Even though Beksat in the UFC is like 2-1, in their fight, they both fought Katona. I think it's Brad Katona. Beksat knocked that man out in round 1. Gene Matsumoto went to war with him. And I know it's, styles make matchups and everything, but, they have a comparable fight like that. I just think Beksat's going to win. And I know Beksat's been out grappled. Gene Matsumoto's not Umar Nurmagomedov. He can't even. Gene Matsumoto probably can't even strike at the level of Umar Nurmagomedov. And Alexandre Topuria, Gene Matsumoto's not the same striker as Alexandre Topuria. Hell, he might not be able to grapple at the level of Alexandre Topuria. Beksat's only been outdone in these places by the best in the division, pretty much. Maybe with Alexandre, we'll have to see. But and Gene Matsumoto's a slow starter. I think he's gonna get knocked out in round 1. Beksat's an under. That might be a hot take from me. I could be proven dead wrong. But I think Matsumoto's going to have one of his usual slow starts, and Beksat's just going to boom him with something. And I think it's going to be over quick. Maybe he gets into round 2 or something. If he wins, it's definitely going to be by decision. Because I'm sick of hearing, they always say if what you hear about a fighter after a fight is, oh man, they're a dog, or oh look at that chin. I don't want to hear about that. All the research I did on Matsumoto is like, oh, he's a dog. He's got a mentality. He's hard to keep down. He lost to Rob Font. I don't know. I'm going to be taking Beksat by round 1 KO. I think it's going to be a flat line, if I'm being honest. Maybe a TKO, but that's going to be my big reach here probably. It's a risky pick, but I'm going to go with it. Getting into our next fight, we got Daniil Donchenko versus Theodor Berggren. Yeah. I mean, man, Daniil, Ukraine's got some sick ass fighters in the UFC right now. My favorite welterweights are probably Daniil and Yaroslav Amosov. Sick grappler and a sick striker. Going over Daniil, insane Muay Thai, really mean pressure, a lot of power, and he wants to hurt you with every single strike. Like in his fight with, I hope I have his name in the tough final. He was just throwing these mean step in elbows like over and over, split the guy open really bad, led to a doctor stoppage. Um, and people will give him shit for not finishing Morono. First of all, Morono's pretty tough. He's only been finished 4 times in a lot of fights. I'm not going to look it up. He has like 30 something pro fights. He's only been KO'd 4 times. And quite frankly, a lot of refs would have ended that in the first round. And with Daniil chasing the finish as much as he did in that first round when he had Morono hurt, it kind of led him to not having the energy to finish it later in the fight. But he whooped. He put belt to ass on Morono. It was bad. It wasn't even like I was watching it back. I was like, whoa, entire fight. Just Morono getting beat up. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot less to say about Theodore here. Um, mean leg kicks. I'm not the biggest leg kick guy. Gaethje threw like 50 against Poirier in their first fight and 33 against Max Holloway, and that got him nowhere. I think leg kicks are maybe a little overhyped. Like Zahabi didn't really do much to Sugar, if you want a more recent example. Um, yeah, but his elbows are mean. He maybe has a cardio issue, but he takes a lot of hits, but he's got the noggin to deal with that and the output to just make it so that like yeah, big whoop, you hurt him if he doesn't finish you in the first round, but you go into the next round, you got a massive gash on your face and your body hurts and your legs are damn near broken. Um, doesn't have the greatest ground game, I guess. But I'm like, it's one of those things like I don't want to be an a-hole to the other fighter, but are we going to be real? Is Theodore going to be the guy to do it? He's going to be the guy in the UFC, the first one to outdo Daniil Danchenko. I know it's supposed to be Gustafsson. He was probably going to violate Gustafsson too. Praying for his health. He has some kind of heart problem, which is why he had to pull out. I think he got removed from the roster. Um, Daniil's one of those guys where it's like, obviously, it's like the ultimate dream is like, man, being a UFC fighter would be awesome. I love fighting. It's the only thing I'm really passionate about, like as MMA in general. That's why I started doing kickboxing and jiu-jitsu recently. I look at footage of Daniil. That's one of the guys that I'm like, shit, maybe I wouldn't want to be a fighter. Can you imagine if like getting matched up against a guy like that? He's ugh. Yeah, but Theodore, he got grappled really bad in his last fight, but he got kind of like a. I mean, not that it matters against Daniil, for being honest. Maybe you could say something about the clinch game, but he got out grappled really bad. Look, he got a lucky knockout near the end of that fight. Lanky striker, which is pretty good. That seems to be the meta for the weight class. You look like an Ian Gary or a Carlos Prates, even like a Michael Morales, all these really long, lanky guys. Theodore's not them. Almost got his head taken off. Almost got taken off his feet by a leg kick also in Cage Warriors a couple fights ago. I don't remember the other guy's name. That's not a good sign. I think Daniil might actually take him off his feet with a leg kick here and there. This made me watch some Cage Warriors, and I kind of had this weird thought. What would happen if you threw like an Alex Morono in Cage Warriors? How good would he be there? It's not like Alex Morono has the worst losses. In fact, I'm going to pull that up real quick. Because, like, there's a big gap, and we see it a lot. And obviously, you get people that come through, like, a Patty and stuff that are good. But, like, for the guy who's made a career in Cage Warriors and stayed there, like, how would he do against a guy? Like, let's say we took Alex Morono from a few years ago and dropped him in there. Would he be good? I've always wondered that type of... Not always, but this had me wondering about that type of thing. I'm going to check who Alex Morono's lost to. Carlos Leal is not a great loss. D-Rod's not a great loss, but D-Rod's ranked, I think, so whatever. Nico Price is a rough loss. Okay, he has some rough losses, I'm not going to lie. But, like, Joaquin Buckley's not an awful loss. Ponzinibbio, Pettis, Chaos Williams. A few years ago, Chaos Williams. Some of these aren't awful losses. He has some rough ones here, but, like, it's not like he's been beaten by total bums. And none of them, and, I mean, Daniil whooped that man. You cannot use that performance against Daniil. Most people don't. I don't know. I'm fighting ghosts here. Yeah, but... I think Daniil's going to kill this guy. And I have a little bit of a section on this. You can say, and I do, that you enjoy, like, the art part of MMA and, like, the technicality and how the individual fighters fight to their strengths and make it their art. Like I like like Van Gogh has his art compared to like the way Islam fights and everything. I guess is the way to put it. I'm overthinking it. But if we're being real, most people, including me, we want to say knockouts and crazy wars. I don't think the give me blood guy, the guy with his shirt off, with I don't remember the exact phrase painted on. I don't think that's a good look for fans, but that's just a representation of most UFC fans and casuals. I just want to see two people duke it out, and we've had that since forever. You see it with the gladiators and stuff. My mic was on screen the entire time there. That's professionalism. I think this is going to be one of those matchups where, especially if it makes it out of the first round, we're going to be kind of like, yikes. I think it's going to be Daniil just beating the brakes off this guy, which he's got some balls. Do not get it twisted. Theodore Bergeron, to take a fight against a guy like Daniil Donchenko as your UFC debut, that's ballsy. That takes guts, and I got to give him props for that. A lot of people wouldn't do it. I imagine Daniil's going to be a guy that a lot of people even avoid fighting in the future. I bet he's going to be hard to match make. But yeah, I don't know if that stat's right for Bergen with the 0-2 on decisions, but he's Cage. I mean, he's from Cage Warriors. Props to him. I hope they give him another fight after this, just as I don't know if he's really UFC ready, but like just as like okay, yeah, you know what? You took a shortish notice fight against Daniil Donchenko. Give him something. Give him another fight after this. I think that's totally fair to him. So yeah, I'm gonna take Daniil Donchenko by a round 1 TKO finish, maybe KO. It depends though. Getting into our next fight, we have Con Offley versus Javier Reyes. I'm going to be taking Javier Reyes by a round 1, maybe probably a round 2 TKO. One of Reyes' losses is to Larry and Douglas. That's not a bad loss to take, as we're saying now is outside the UFC. I do like Reyes, but I remember I couldn't find it. I don't think his fight with Douglas Silva de Andrade is on Fight Pass yet. I couldn't find it. I was cooking this man, and Dean Thomas and I were like that on the timing. Dean Thomas came on, and he was like, "You're fighting a 40-year-old man at altitude, and he's walking you down, or you're not finishing him yet." That's the most real thing I've ever heard. I mean, Douglas Silva de Andrade has his threats. I think he even dropped Reyes, which is ouchy. But he's still good. Really good clinch work, big range for looping shots, a lot of power. I mean, like a 73-inch reach. I mean, look at that reach advantage. A 7-inch reach advantage is big, especially at this kind of weight class. He's a pretty solid takedown defense, solid grappler, striking defenses, whatever. That doesn't matter against Con Offley. Yeah, he got hurt by the Andrade, but shit happens. I mean, like, you're gonna see fighters get hurt by people that shouldn't hurt him or fight him. Like, are we really gonna count Islam out because he got knocked out by Adriano Martins? Khabib got his arguably lost to Gleison Tibau, had his takedowns defended. Like, are we really going to count that event? So no, shit happens to fighters, and I think we got to start. And I'm probably going to be hypocritical in this video talking about people these fighters have lost to. But, when you're young and you're in these fights, things are going to happen. Offley, he's like every other Aussie. Very solid at pretty much everything. Mostly favors wrestling because of that reach advantage. Arguably lost against Yi Jia. I think Yi Jia got that 10-8 in round 2. And Yi Jia and Javier Reyes, they have similar range. They have similar kind of shot, except like I think Javier Reyes is a bit better of a fighter, is the way I'm trying to put it. Like, Offley is good, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to count him out here. But I might be underthinking it, but the fact that Offley struggled as much as he did with Yi Jia and that kind of range advantage makes me think Javier Reyes is going to put him out early. Because similar range, but more power, probably just a better rounded fighter, and will probably act on a finishing instinct a little bit more. If not, Offley's going to have to wrestle like his life depends on it. I'm just basing this all pretty much purely off the Yi Jia fight. Just because, like I said, similar ranges, big power. I think Javier Reyes has a better chance at actually finishing it than Yi Jia did. Getting into our next fight, we have Nursultan Ruzaboyev versus Andrei Pulayev. This is the most overthought fight on this card for me. I don't know why. This one was stressing me out to pick it. I'll go over that in a minute. Why? Goyev, both of these guys, big middleweights. Goyev, I actually called him Goyev in the notes. Oh my god. But Nursultan Ruzaboyev, big middleweight, a lot of range. He's gone down to welterweight though, where he lost to Joaquin Buckley. I don't think that highly of Joaquin Buckley, but he was down at he's in his world now, pal. But yeah, big power, a lot of reach. He's good at like jumping and exploding in. He's got a really good finishing instinct. 33% takedown defense according to the UFC stat page I saw. That's rough. But I mean, look, he's got a lot of submissions, so I don't think that matters too much, especially against a guy like Pelayev. Kind of can crusher, I imagine, in his early career. Uh, Tends to lumber around, not great movement or cage control. He's not that fast. Stoltzfus almost killed this man when he lunged in for something. And I think him crashing in like that, he can definitely get hit and put down. Uh, his spinning kicks, even like hitting people's guards, they're like throwing people. They're like knocking people over. They're hitting them to the side. Uh, and the reason I point out the bad footwork and movement, Andre Pulayev's a slippery guy. We'll go over that in a minute. I gotta stay on point. Um, his power didn't really go down that much, even in like a long, intense fight with a guy like Dustin Stoltzfus. Like his power stayed relatively similar like the entire time. His oh my god, the scorecards for the Buckley fight were insane. One judge had it 29-27, another had it 30-27, another had it 30-26. Sometimes these judges, just all three are watching a totally different fight, and it pisses me off so bad. There's the occasional split decision where I'm like, how the hell did you give it to that guy? How do all three judges give it a completely different score? There's another one like that later we're going to get into. But, taken down and controlled by Joaquin Buckley. Yikers. Probably doesn't matter, though, like I said, against a guy like Pelayev. A lot of people are picking Nurselton pretty easy. I'm picking Nurselton, but it was stressful for me because we'll get into why. UFC with Pelayev, now getting into Pelayev, his only losses are to Gautier and Christian Leroy Duncan. Those aren't bad. He's the only guy I'm pretty sure that Gautier hasn't finished, and he was looking good against Gautier. He got dropped bad by Ateba early, but he kind of like leans away from shots, so it might have not been as much of a. He definitely got dropped, like he was rock bad, but like I think the reason part of why he got like flying back was because he was already moving back. Also big for the division, slippery bastard, man. Ateba was having a hard time hitting him, like a really hard time hitting him at times, like at least especially clean. He keeps his chin high, which a guy like Gautier is smaller, but with a similar reach to Nurselton, I'm pretty sure. But against a guy that's like his height, I'm worried about him keeping his chin up like that because he can kind of just get away from Ateba where he's like striking up like this. But with a guy like Nurselton who's going to be here, scares me a little bit. Solid striking defense, like I said, good head movement, good at slipping away. Goes good straights and kicks. His kicks are really whippy, really fast. His straights are pretty nasty. He was tagging Ateba. He actually, I think, cut Ateba and maybe made his nose bleed. Body kicks will be there because this is a southpaw versus orthodox matchup. I think that's going to be an interesting one. I mean, obviously the body kicks will be there for both, but I think that favors Pelayev a little bit. I have a lot of notes on Pelayev for some reason. I don't know why. I'm overthinking the hell out of this fight. How good he did against Ateba. In retrospect, it could end up being a really good performance for Ateba that he managed to kind of get Andre Pelayev like that because at first I was holding it against Gautier. I was like, oh man, you couldn't finish Pelayev, but then I'm watching the fight back. I'm like, maybe Pelayev's not bad. He didn't do that bad against CLD either. Beat Nick Klein. Like Nick Klein, say what you want about him, but even his losses aren't bad. I'll get into that though. Yeah, I don't have the highest opinion of Ateba, and I thought it was a bad look for him, but I don't think Pelayev's an easy opponent. I think that might be Ateba's hardest fight to date, probably, depending on and he's probably going to get Izzy next, so that'll definitely be his hardest there. But for now, I think it's definitely his hardest opponent. And I think I think it was a big growth thing for Ateba and probably for Pelayev too. And Pelayev showed good recovery. He was taking some mean hits there that would have put a lot of other people away, but he did not get put away. Here it is. Fights like this are a nightmare to predict because Pelayev has only lost to what seems like great prospects in decisions, but we haven't really seen enough of those prospects yet. Like I need to see more from Ateba, and I need to see more from CLD. And that Nick Klein win is hard to gauge because his only other loss is to Mansour Abdul Malik, which Mansour Abdul Malik, yeah, he just took a loss, and maybe he's not as good as we thought he did. But his loss is to. Oh my god. Not Mansour Abdul Malik. Yusri Belgaroui. That's not a bad loss. Belgaroui's nasty. That guy had close kickboxing matches with Izzy and Pereira. We're gonna say that's a bad loss to take for Mansour Abdul Malik? No. Sure, he got his ass whooped, but Abdul Malik might still be solid. It's one of those things where it's really interesting because Pulayev's only lost to what seems to be really good prospects, but Ruzaboyev has some good wins. I don't know. Um, a really big part of me wants to pick Pulayev because I think that would look really smart if he win, and he'd probably win some crafty decision. I'm gonna go safe. Um, I don't think it'll be a knockout. I don't even think it'll be a finish for Ruzaboyev. Maybe a submission late in the fight. Maybe beats up Pulayev a little bit, gets him down to the ground, and it's harder for him to get up after he's been beaten up. But I'm gonna pick Nursultan Ruzaboyev by decision. If Pulayev wins, I'm counting this as a half a correct pick for me though, because it tore me apart. I don't know why I cared so much about this fight. I guess it's just because I realized Pulayev's really gotten the short end of the stick. Like he's had some rough comp in the UFC, man. Getting into our next fight, we have Abdul Rahman Yakyaev versus Julius Walker. I'm not even gonna overthink this one. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it so real. I think it's not even gonna be close. Walker lost to Menafield, and Jacoby knocked him out, which aren't the worst losses. But Abdul looks really good. I think the only reason, honestly, that Menafield's up where he is because light heavyweight's kind of dookie garbage, kind of buns right now, and I don't know if it's ever been that good. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna pick up Mansour Abdul Rahman Yakyaev just because of the fact that he is man, Mansour Abdul Malik sounds like a guy that'd be on this card. But yeah, I think he's just gonna finish Walker round one, probably TKO. I think he's just stronger, faster. I think he's literally better at everything. And Walker's pissing me off, man. You can't be on Tapology. He thinks he's the shit. His foundation is, and I quote, ninja shit. Who do you think you are? You're a light heavyweight, and you lost to Menafield. I don't know. Maybe I'm hating. But yeah, I watched their footage. I just think Abdul Rahman Yakyaev, and it was a clinch fest with Menafield too. Like, are we serious? I think Abdul is gonna blow through this man. I think it's gonna be easy night at the office. Wow, I'm making this a long video. Into our next fight, I'm gonna try to speed through some of these. Faram Hassanov versus Eric Nolan. Faram is another one really hard to find fights. He's made 5 fights of him. He's making his debut. He got head kicked, slept in an amateur fight recently. Amateur fight when you're 5-0. Average East. I mean, he's American top team, so maybe I'm hating too much for saying this, but average like Eastern world record, Eastern hemisphere record, I guess. Eastern world, whatever you want to call it. He's only this far up on the card because he's a local. He has no reason to be this high up. I think he should be. This should be with the other guys making their debuts on the first prelim. Good power, good gym. I don't know why we're rushing guys like this. He's 5 pro fights. I don't like when they do this. Give the guy time. Let him work through some stuff. Getting into the next one, I'm speeding through this now because I'm at 28 minutes. Holy crap. Eric Nolan. Sirsakayev going up a weight class is the most evil debut I can think of. Say what you want about Sirsakayev, and I have that Eric Nolan did good in the first round against a big whoop. I'm going to be honest, everyone does good in the first round against Sirsakayev. It's a pretty common thing. But he is pretty good. He's got big power, mean counters, tough bastard. Submission losses are really old, and the other one is Sirsakayev. Does that really count? I mean, Sirsakayev up a weight class. I mean, that's just, yeah, that's going to be a hard one. You're going to get submitted, probably. But he did do really well against Sirsakayev. He kind of got ragdolled, but that was Sirsakayev just throwing him around. He was getting up, and he wasn't getting, controlled that bad. He's not the most accurate guy, and he's not super high activity because he waits for those counters. But I'm still going to take him over Hassanov. Hassanov leads some big openings. Doesn't have much pro experience. Like, big openings for the counters. Doesn't have as much pro experience. And I'm going to go with Nolan because he's, A, the safer one for me because he has more experience and has been here longer, and B, the sheer size of the balls for taking a debut against Sirsakayev. Get into our next one. Abus Magomedov versus Michael Olachechik. I put the winner there. I don't know why it's there. I think PowerPoint isn't saving some of my things. I'm taking Abus Magomedov here by winning. I honestly can't think of how he'll do it, but I think he'll do it. Abus is an inactivity demon. He can switch stance pretty well. It's as orthodox, but I see him cycling through in fights. His UFC losses are to Sean Strickland, Kaio, and Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer is in the top 5, I believe, right now. Kaio is probably a top 10 fighter, and Sean Strickland is Sean Strickland. Those aren't bad losses to take. People want to act like this guy isn't good. I think this is a good win on Strickland's resume. Um, Strong with really fast kicks, and he did have Strickland struggling a little bit, but that was in the first round. I think that was the best way. That was his only hope of beating Strickland in retrospect, especially with what Strickland is now, was to just kind of blast him in the first round, try to out athletic him. Then he died and got finished, but whatever. He reversed the takedown from Pyfer and then tripped, and then when Pyfer got up, he tripped him. He's really good at most things, honestly. Like, there's nothing he really struggles with besides cardio. His cardio is kind of horrific. Solid wrestler, but his decision wins are over shitters like Michel Pereira, who we'll get into. I have strong feelings about him. And that guy's on the co-main. Abu should be over. Both these guys should be over Michel Pereira. But I know why Michel Pereira's there. He's getting set up for a highlight reel. Took a round off Kaio. I don't think that highly of Caio Barallo, but that's pretty good. And he recovered pretty well when he was hurt bad by Bruno Ferreira, who's also above him. Miko Olachechik, I know he's with the Fighting Nerds. I know he's improved his takedown and submission defense. 6 submission losses is too much for me to ignore. A really good boxer with good power, but so is Bruno, and look what happened to him. None of his wins on this streak are as good as anything that Abus has. I mean, GM3, Cedric Dumas. I'm glad to see Cedric Dumas, who's a woman beater, lose, but I don't care. Marc-Andre Barriol, it's not bad, but like a lot of people have beaten him. Cody Brundage is an okay win. Abus just has a crazy range advantage when you take into account the kicks. Like I said, Mikal's solid boxer, fast with a lot of power. Southpaw could be a problem for Abus, but Mikal was also submitted by Tom Holland in 2024 and subbed by Michel Pereira. Oh my god, man, what are we doing? And I guess he went 3 rounds with Shara. I know Mikal's made improvements. I like him. He's fun. But man, Abus is really good. Especially in that first round. I think he's going to win. And I think the grappling and the kickboxing and the leg range advantage is going to be too much for Mikal. I'm going to take Abus by submission. I don't know what round, though, if I'm being honest. Getting into our next fight, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. Ikram, he had 1 week for that Whitaker fight of prep. That's hard, man. I know he got whooped, but 1 week of prep is not a lot of time. His other loss is to Khamzat Chimaev before the UFC, so I don't even really count that as a loss at that point because like it's Khamzat. No shit, you're gonna lose that per UFC especially. Park landed some shots on him that Bruno Ferreira, if he landed them, might end it, but Park's not even that bad, if I'm being honest. Ikram's got a very quick jab, good takedowns, and really solid wrestling in general, obviously. He's a part of Khabib's gym. Which, as we see, is generally a pretty good matchup against jiu-jitsu, so I think Bruno's grappling doesn't matter much. Both these guys could be welterweights if they weren't fat. I think he's smart enough to know being on the feet with Bruno is probably not a good idea, and he could potentially get knocked out. He had a pretty close fight with Park, but it's not like Park has bad losses. His losses are to Robocop, Fluffy, and Shavkat, or 3 of his losses are those 3. Those can slide. You know, I know they matter on a record, but like Robocop, Fluffy, and Shavkat, that's, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not going to hold that against him. Bruno, really big power. He beat Vittori pretty comfortably. I was in person for that one. Solid BJJ, got taken down pretty easy by Abus late into their fight, which that's really a big concern for me. Yeah, 1-on-1 with Robocop, but he just got knocked the hell out by Robocop. This is a very similar fight with pretty similar skill sets. I think where Ikram lacks power, Bruno has it, and I think where Bruno lacks speed, Ikram has it. I just think Ikram's a better grappler, and I think that takedown threat's going to be there for Bruno. Bruno might even get outstruck. And I have in my notes, I'll probably I think Bruno is more of a striker that can grapple. Ikram's a grappler that can strike. I'm going to take guys like that most of the time over strikers that can grapple. Most of the time, keyword. Up next, we got Asu Almabaya versus Charles Johnson. Almabaya's got a really solid resume, and only one of his losses is like not good outside of the UFC, but that happens to people that come in with losses. Pretty offensive grappling, throws a lot of takedowns, and pretty solid striking. It's flyweight, they're going to be solid at everything, if I'm being honest. I probably don't even need to say that. Cop loss hasn't aged badly. He makes grappling uncomfortable. He's going for like face cranks and stuff on Jose Ochoa. That Ochoa wins age fantastic. Johnson, solid boxer, very quick, pretty good kicks and stuff too. Fluke master. I don't give a damn about his win over Joshua Van or Loner Kavanaugh. Both of them were putting Bill to ass, especially Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh was probably en route to finish him, but and completely out grappling him, tripping him, throwing him around, controlling him in positions. Just Kavanaugh decided to controller disconnect, arms fully down when he was going away, and Johnson got him. Yeah. I mean, Johnson can probably outstrike Asu, but I think the takedown threat is too real, and Oscar Mabayev is probably going to take him down and control him early on. I might even outstrike him later while Charles Johnson knows that threat is there. I don't think he's going to submit him if I'm being honest. But I think we're going to see Asu just kind of 29-28. It'll be a close fight, but we'll be seeing Asu back fighting like top 10 guys again probably after this. Um, Getting into our next fight, Nazim Sadikov versus Mateus Camilo. I'm not super sure about a lot of these picks. This is one of those I'm pretty sure. Nazim, I was also in person for Nazim Sadikov versus for a Ziam. Ziam was outdoing him in the clinch hella bad. He just got outdone in everything, but by Ziam. But Ziam's not bad. I mean, he lost to Tom Nolan, but Tom Nolan's not bad either. And Ziam hit the rankings at least. Fast striker with really good technique, a lot of good kicks. He does get clipped a lot, which is a bit of a concern, but he has good recovery. Yeah, it was Mota against, I think it was Nicholas Mota or whatever his name is. Mota had him rope doping on the cage. But I mean, I don't even know how rocked he was during that sequence because he recovered and immediately started firing back. Hit him with something nasty, cut him open really bad, timed a head kick on him really well, and ended up just beating him pretty bad. Camilo, solid grappler, good power. He's kind of like that. He does not really throw in huge combos or anything. I think Nazim's better at the combos than he is. I think Nazim's just all around better than him. I think he's going to outwork the guy and TKO him in round 2. Man, this is a long video. Into our next fight. Don't piss me off. I hate Michel Pereira so much. I'm going to have to deal with them throwing clips and the commentators. This guy's so athletic, man. It's insane. And they're going to cut to him doing backflips and shit in the cage that don't matter. I don't know. He was on a good win streak against who? Like, I'm going to keep it so real. Win streak against who? Before he started losing. And he looks like shit lately. And I hate watching him fight because he's slow as balls. He looked like shit against Dawkins. He got knocked out by Dawkins. That says who already got cut from the roster. He's not that fast. Athletic for what, dude? Like, you're not even that solid of a striker. I'm just goy in my notes. This is setting him up for a highlight reel KO. I really hope Shara hits some crazy shit on him because Shara's really fast kickboxer, really unpredictable, blind in his right eye. I think that prevents him from being ranked, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, he's a great fighter, but I think that's just going to be really hard to overcome to ever really be that high up in the rankings. Solid work with elbows and knees. He's been putting it together better as he's fighting better comp. I think he realizes he can't be going for these super big, flashy KOs. He's a good counterpuncher, not great leg kick defense, but who gives a shit about leg kicks? Armand Petrosian hit him with like 40 or something, and it didn't really seem to affect him. I hated watching Michelle's fights back, and I really liked watching Shara's back, so I'm hoping this is just some kind of crazy flash KO by Shara. Barrialt's a tough guy to put down, so I don't blame Shara for not finishing him, and he did break the hell out of Shara's nose, but again, things happen. I think they gave Shara this fight because after the MVP fight and the no finish in the Barrialt fight, I think they're kind of trying to get him back into those kind of flashy, big KOs. I think they're going to want him to put him on a Saudi card probably. So I think they're trying to get him back into the swing of things a little bit. This video has gone so long. I guess because I actually watched footage this time. So I'm going to be taking Shara Magomedov by around 1 or 2 KO. Into the main event, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Fiziev, 6 rounds with Gaethje where he took 2 of them off him. That's really good. Split decision the first time, I'm pretty sure. That's kind of bullshit. But he did good against Gaethje, man. There's no denying that. Hit him with some mean body kicks and stuff. Yeah, Rufi has KO power, but he also has better placement. Torres and Rufi, they got those kind of lanky builds. Rufi is so much better than Torres at striking. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it really matters here. And big whoop, he lost to Rufi. That's going to be a lot of people. I think that could be Justin Gaethje, even if I'm being honest. I think we're going to see Rufy go very far, maybe even fight for a belt within a couple fights. And Torres is not him. RDA wins pretty solid. That's a former champ. Moicano and Green those wins aged really well still. Solid technical Muay Thai striker with good power. Not the greatest power. He's low-key pillow-fisted at times, but his body kicks and his leg kicks hit hard. Good leg power, but I think he just needs to go down to 145. I hope he does after this fight. Give him a fight with like a... We'll matchmake later. Yeah, I think he should still go down though. I think he focuses too much on being technical. I talked about this with Navajo Sterling. It's like, dude, you gotta just get in there and fight sometimes, man. Like, I get it, you like looking good and everything. He has those crazy lean backs and stuff. But like, eventually, you just gotta brawl. And I think he'd be maybe not against this guy. Don't do it against Torres. Now's the time to look technical. Don't get it twisted. But like, there's a time and a place to look technical. I don't think this is that. Really good at mixing in takedowns. You got a good amount of them on Bahamondes, as well as I don't think he took down. Yeah, he did take down Gaethje twice. Can't be stationary at times. He kind of just stands there like sometimes. I think that's the worst thing. He has good head movement, so I think he can live. He got closer to submitting Justin with that reverse triangle than Iliad did. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that right now. Obviously, I think Iliad had the better performance against him, but I'm not going to act like Fiziev didn't have him hurt. He looked good against Justin, man. He has these really explosive knees in the clinch that look like they hurt a lot. He only lost to Gamrot because of a freak accident, and he was definitely winning that. His second fight against Justin was short notice, and he did pretty well. Weird scorecards in this first fight with Gaethje. This is what I was talking about earlier. So, in this first fight with Gaethje, one judge had a 29-28 Gaethje, where they gave round 1 to Fiziev, round 2 to Gaethje, and round 3 to Gaethje. Another one had a 28-28, where they gave rounds 1 and I think 2 to Fiziev, but then a 10-8 in round 3 or in round 3. What the hell are we doing? And then the other judge had a 29-28, but they gave round 2 to Fiziev and rounds 1 and 3 to Gaethje. We got to get judges that are on the same kind of wavelength, man. This is getting ridiculous. This is an old fight, but still. Now, getting into Torres, big power on a lanky frame is very dangerous, but like I said, he's not the same kind of striker as Rufy is. Dawson was throwing straight bullshit. It's like, no wonder he got knocked out by Torres. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Of course he did. Like, no shit, he got knocked out against Torres. Anyone could have knocked you out when you're swinging like that. Beneil Dariush he's got big power. He's got good power, actually. But Beneil Dariush probably could have knocked him out for swinging like that. Beating Dober is a really good win, though. I got to say that. Don needs to watch that fight to know how to not hit somebody in the back of the head. Dober has a similar build to Fiziev, which concerns me a little bit for Fiziev, considering I'm picking him, but I'll get into why I'm picking Fiziev. He overextended against Bahamondes, right? Really bad. Got countered twice really bad like that. Like, dropped really bad once, got up, made it to the next round. Same thing happened again. I can't ignore that Bahamondes loss. Like I said, like, shit happens. Bahamondes is a good fighter. But I in my head, you can't be ranked if you lose to Bahamondes, man. Because Bahamondes is that guy where he's kind of like a Bobby Green. It's like, if you lose to him, if you beat him, yeah, you deserve a ranking. But if you lose to him, I don't know if I can rank you. That's just how it is with him. Bahamondes is great, but... and his loss to Messiah cheated a lot, but he's a good switch stance. If he tries that against Fiziev's going to start ripping body kicks, I think, and that's a lot of frame to hit those body kicks. I think that'll be bad for him. Fiziev just fought tough guys with similar builds, like Bahamondes, and won. He beat Bahamondes pretty comfortably. Duncan hurt Manuel Torres pretty bad with the right hand. Duncan's not a bad win either. He closes distance really well. I just think Fiziev's going to be able to survive the early blitzes, maybe even mix in takedowns over a few rounds. I think he's just going to break him down over a few rounds, and by the time we get to the championship rounds, I think he's going to get a TKO in round 4 or 5. That might be a hot take. That's when I'm fully ready to be wrong on, and Torres just to take him out in round 1. But I don't love these kind of, I'm going to go blitz him and get a round 1 knockout round. I don't like those guys. And, it's like, because to me, it's like, yeah, then you fight a ranked guy, and you get absolutely just torched. But, yeah, anyway, if you made it this far, thank you. Obviously, after this, I'm going to be doing matchmaking for these fights. I might make I'm going to start just arbitrarily matchmaking, like who I choose to and not to matchmake next week, or after this fight. Card? Jeez, man, I'm struggling. But, Yeah, it's going to be an exciting card. Just to go, I'm not going to go over my picks again because I'm already at 45 minutes. So if you guys made it this far, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you disagree or agree. If I missed anything you guys think is important, go ahead and tell me, and I'll probably respond to it in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.